right, third and final meeting between these two. And this is as much of a must-win game as you can get in the regular season for the defending champs. Even Steph's pregame ritual a little sped up, and the intensity was there from the jump. Crisp pass, hand in the face, it didn't matter. The splash god remained hot from the Clipper game the other night, and this is kind of fool's gold. Russ with the early three-pointer. The man only shoots 29% from behind the arc. The Warriors did well to avoid an early deficit like we've seen in so many of these big games where they have to climb out of a hole. Melo on Zaza, you don't want that matchup. OKC's always going to get up for this matchup. Now, gentlemen, I know everybody has their preferences, but I've always loved Mo Cheeks. Forgot he was on their bench. The game was so physical and fast-paced to start that a lot of guys had trouble finding their rhythms. Now you're going to see these two get tangled up here. KD starts it, Carmelo finishes it. They get it. These guys, ain't nothing going to happen. These dudes are boys, right? But Carmelo Anthony should have known better because sometimes, what do they say? Don't poke the bear. Don't tug on Superman's cape. Because after this exchange, a relatively quiet Kevin Durant proceeded to rattle off 13 points to close the half and give Golden State the lead. But hey, this shit got me excited. I wasn't mad about none of it. I wanted to see more. This is what the NBA is about. More competition, right? A little trash talk goes a long way, and up in the juices. Melo had an answer, right? The little quick flick with the center switched out on him. After both these teams going back and forth, blow for blow, about midway through the third, Golden State started to flex. You see Slim coasting with the left hand, and then Steph tells Adams, you thought it was what it wasn't. Gets Zaza the dunk at the rim, and everybody knows a highlight play is worth twofold at Oracle Arena. It just starts that eruption. And then Carmelo, how do you feel when you watch Power? Oh, word? No, I'm messing with y'all, but Draymond and Carmelo go back and forth, and I don't think there was really anything dirty about it. I think it was just over-aggressive physical basketball. You see the follow-through, and it comes down on his head. But at this point, I think Carmelo's frustrated because they can smell defeat in the air at Roracle. Defense led to offense. Here they go out in transition. KD, another scoop in the finish. The man finished with 28 points. But the others would get involved for Golden State. The storyline all season has been, what will the bench give them? And we had a swaggy Prophet sighting. You think Steph is excited about his hired gun off the bench finally delivering? I think so. So Golden State handled, look at Russ, take it off my bench. I think Russ has a lisp, doesn't he? He looked like he do. But this was a much-needed flex session at Oracle Arena against a potential playoff opponent. Draymond's going to finish things off with the big dunk, and Golden State rolls the thunder. Finally. Is this not what we came to see? Is this not what we came to see? Myself, all the Warrior fans, I think, expected this outcome. I know that may sound arrogant, or it's like, I don't know. But we knew this third matchup, everybody circled this and was like, this is a must-win game. Even the commentators in the telecast, there was no secret about how important this game was to Golden State, and they came out and they played that way, right? First off, JaVale McGee, now I think he was the only plus-minus negative on the roster, but he had an impact early in the game. You saw the chase down block and just his presence around the rim and his energy. So I thought he did well in the start, in his, a start in a big game. I thought that was good. But what was really apparent was the defensive rotations, helping the help, right? Crisp and not giving up the three ball. And at the half, it was funny because they were like, the OKC's only down 7. At that point, Paul George was maybe like 0 of 9, and they were shooting a terrible percentage. But they were acting as if it was like, hey, sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. No, they were forced into a poor percentage from Golden State's contests and their double rotations. They weren't just rotating once, they were rotating a third time and contesting every shot unless it was an offensive rebound, right? And reason why they were missing those wide open third opportunity shots was because they were sped up. The defensive intensity that we showed up with tonight sped up OKC and kind of broke their rhythm. Off the gate, KD was kind of struggling, and then Melo messed around and he tugged on Superman's cape. And I knew when it happened, I was like, oh, this is good. This is good for us, right? Melo, I'm not a big Melo fan, but I'm going to leave that alone. But I knew when they did that it would pump things up. There was more pick and roll action and they took better care of the ball. So that was important. But at the half, I will want to point out one more thing about that first half of basketball. The few times that there were some mental lapses, there were a couple iffy turnovers, right? Or OKC did some things and had a run of their own. Curry used his timeouts very well. But more importantly, the team responded to Steve Kerr's timeouts. Every time OKC made a run and Kerr had a timeout, we made a run right out of the timeout. And that hasn't been the case this season. Kerr knows it and everybody knows it. So that was maybe the most encouraging thing overall in the game was the response. So once Melo got at him, KD exploded in the second quarter towards the end of that, right? I think he had like 17 points in that quarter and gave us a little bit of a cushion. But in the second half, man, I want to bring this up. I know everybody's like, Swaggy, Alk, we know you don't like Nick, and I want to give him his credit, but I want to give Andre Iguodala his due, man. I really want to give him his due. He had 6 rebounds, 3 of them offensive. I feel like he had more because they were crucial offensive rebounds. And they really led to some of Nick Young's explosion and what really, that avalanche that came at the end of the third quarter at Oracle Arena. Iguodala quietly had a major hand in that with those offensive rebounds. And then his defense. They were trapping, they were rotating, the energy. It was something that I haven't seen from him all season, man, and I'm so glad to be wrong, at least in this game. So that was very impressive. And then really that story of Nick Young, what do you have, like 10 points in 2 minutes to close the third quarter? Steph was doing his thing, decisive, and he's tightened up his passing, and he kept finding Nick in that corner. And it's about damn time, Swaggy. It's about damn time. But what I liked more impressively almost was his rebounding and his energy on the defensive end. He matched it. He showed up in a game we needed him to. I've really been questioning if he has really, the coconuts to play in playoff basketball. And this was a playoff-like atmosphere, and he showed up and really was the one that kind of put the dagger in him in the third quarter. Now, OKC, I felt like they kind of waved the white flag a little bit early. But that's what happens, man, because how long has it been since we've seen one of these roracle eruptions? I feel like we haven't had one all year. So, man, I'm just taking it in. It feels good, man. It feels good. So, but it was one game. And the offense was, they took advantage of Oklahoma City's over-aggression guarding the passing lanes. Paul George, I think he leads the league in steals, right? They know that. Hustis, is it? Westbrook, they're all guys that love to jump the passing lanes, and they get over-aggressive on the perimeter on the three-point line. And you saw them hit them backdoor several times when they made that run in the third quarter. That was great play design, great execution. But it was the defense that won this game. Oklahoma City was held to a season-low 80 points. Paul George was he like 1 of 14? None of their big three shot well. Melo was looking flabby and sick and frustrated. I don't want to hear nothing about that. There was physical hard play. Nothing was intentional about the fouls on Carmelo. He's been in the league long enough to know that, and he's salty just like he's salty with Lala. I'm going to leave that there. But the other key was the guards rebounded the ball very well. Curry had 8 or 9 rebounds. Iguodala, like I mentioned, had 6 or 7. They held Steven Adams to 7 rebounds. If you look at the past games where we've been destroyed by them, that was one of the key factors, was Adams all over the glass with 15, 16 rebounds. So they were able to keep him off the offensive glass and just off the glass in general. And it was about damn time, man. It was a statement game. The champs put the clamps on. And, I really have no complaints, man. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all. All right, y'all. I was already wrapping this up, and I get on Twitter and I see I had a miscommunication with that on there, and I didn't really think of anything when it happened, but apparently now Kyrie Irving, Russell Westbrook are calling out Zaza when he fell on Westbrook's ankle or leg in that breakaway play. Live, I didn't think much of it. Honestly, when I was in the conversation on Twitter, I thought they were asking me about if Draymond intentionally cracked Melo across the face. I was like, come on, man, that shit was he swung through. But, I want to state this first. Zaza definitely deserves the reputation of being dirty for whatever that means. Like, he does extracurriculars, right? He throws bows. He has been known to bowing under the foot, right? I'm not saying he hasn't. So he is under a microscope when it comes to these certain plays. But if you look at the play, to me, I'm trying to look at this objectively. He looks like his leg starts to wobble, and then Westbrook hits it as it's wobbling, and then he makes the decision, or his body makes the decision, that I'm going to go down. I'm not going to try to withstand that as my knee is wobbling. If you look, Westbrook says he wasn't touched at all. That's just not the truth. That's just not true, because Westbrook appears, at least from that angle, that's the only angle I have, to hit his knee as it's wobbling, and then he goes down. By the way, if you want to look at like a football way, he could have went down a lot more violently if he wanted to. He could have pancaked him, and he didn't. So I understand the reputation, and he does do extra things, but this didn't look like the case in my eyes of him actually going out of the way to do it. It looks like he needed to fall to protect his knee. That's your boy Alchemy's take on that. All right, I'm out for good on this one. Check the Patreon in the morning, though. I'm going to go in depth. I may have different angles, and hey, I may have a different take after I've watched the entirety of it again. But that's for now what I think on this hot subject. I'm out, y'all.
Russ, what happened with that play when Zaza fell on your leg?
What you mean what happened? What do you think what happened?
I don't know. I couldn't see.
Don't lie. Don't lie. You couldn't see it. You saw the instant replay 4 times. What happened?
He fell on your leg.
Thank you. Don't ask me a dumb question you know the answer to.
You think it was intentional?
Did you see it? What it look like? What it look like? Did anybody touch him? Yes or no?
I didn't see the replay yet.
Oh, you didn't see it? But why you asking about something you didn't see?
I just saw
well,
the play
then,
live.
well, then, if you didn't see it, don't ask me a question. Don't ask me dumb questions. Obviously, it was intentional. So don't ask me, was it intentional? Nobody touched me, fell over my leg, tried to hurt me, you know. But hey, that's how I go.
Do you think that's something the NBA needs to look into more?
Hey man, they'll see it and look at it. You know what I'm saying? They'll see it.
Do you think you've had a couple run-ins with Zaza? Do you think he's a dirty player?
Yeah, for sure.